Hello, good morning. It is November 1st, and let's wait on the Christmas songs and decorations, please. Let's let Thanksgiving have its time. I miss when people would decorate for Thanksgiving. I'm not even gonna lie. My mom had turkey decorations and shit. Love that shit. Let Thanksgiving be, damn it. Good morning, Amanda. Good morning, Tash. Good morning, Majestic Unicorn. Appreciate y'all being here so early this morning. I hope everybody had a nice Halloween. Uh, we had a pretty good Halloween. Well, for the most part. The kids were great. Stuff like that was great. Some other stuff happened that was not great, but I'm not going to get into that on here because then I'd air it all out and then probably be used in court or something. But anyway, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But I had lots of trick or treaters last night. At least 100, if not more. I ran out of candy. There were so many kids. At one point, my roommate had left, and I had to like call him. I'm like, "Can you please come back because I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, and I cannot go inside. There are so many children." And yeah, he came back, and I was able to eat and feed the animals and all that. But yeah, it was fun, and I had stickers and little light up rings, and it was the stickers especially were a big hit. I'm definitely gonna get those again because they were super cheap on Temu. But anyway, unfortunately, like every holiday, uh, people shoot each other, people kill each other. So there are some shootings to report, one in Orlando and one in New York. I'm sure there's more that I'm missing. But there was a mass shooting in Orlando. But first, we're going to get into Austin. So, Austin, Texas is, excuse me, I did not mean to burp. So, Austin, Texas has had a spike in roadway shootings. I do not like calling them road rage shootings. A someone I know and someone I care about greatly, Paul Castro, who lost his son David Castro in a similar shooting. Leaving the Astros game, and he has become a very fierce advocate. His son was murdered in that way. And if you say road rage, you're putting some fault on the victim. So please join me in no longer calling them road rage shootings, but instead road way shootings. That would be very much appreciated by myself and families of victims who were murdered in this way. So I'm going to read a post that Paul did. So Paul said, "This message is intended to be helpful to the brave reporters who are keeping these stories in the front of the public, not to criticize them. I keep seeing these painful interviews of parents or family members of roadway shootings, and the interviews can be better. Here's what I ask you to consider. Every time a parent or family member has to recall this story, it generates a PTSD flashback of the terrible memory and can cause a difficult and painful response. Please keep the recall question brief or summarize the event yourself. Two, there are often questions that imply the victim's actions may have caused the shooting. Even if the questions are to remove guilt from the driver, they create a permission structure for the shooter. For example, if the victim did something bad, then she may have deserved it. We don't ask rape victims what they were wearing. We shouldn't ask roadway shooting victims if they did anything to deserve it. I know it's tempting. Just consider it. Three, consider using the term roadway shootings, as that is how they are classified by police departments. Road rage is a loaded term that stigmatizes the victims as a co-participant in the road rage. It creates a both sides narrative for the listener. This shows up in the jury box and defense counsel narratives. There isn't a justifiable reason for a person to shoot at someone in another car any more than there's a reason for a person to shoot at someone on the sidewalk or in the store. And that is coming from David Castro, the father of David Castro, who was only a teenager when he was murdered, leaving the Astros game with his father. I might contact KVUE, who is the station that did this story, and just ask them if they can join us in changing that verbiage. So this is happening in most major cities. Houston has had an increase in roadway shootings, and Austin is growing. I've heard about them in San Antonio. This is happening all over the country. People are just so damn angry. I don't know what it is. It's certainly not the rap music, because I listen to it and I'm not trying to hurt anybody. So let's not blame the rap music or the rock music or the video games. I don't know what the hell's wrong with people, but we got to do something. There needs to be harsher punishments or something. We all need dash cams so that way this stuff can be reported. We can catch the perpetrators. But let's go ahead and get into the video.
Road rage incidents are happening more and more across the Austin area, leading to crashes, roadside confrontations, even shootings in some cases, sometimes coming with deadly consequences.
A recent study shows Texas ranks the highest of all states for road rage incidents involving guns, with Austin being among the top 25 cities.
Tonight, KVUE's Darren Shaharan examines how common road rage has become in Austin and speaks with some of the grieving families of those behind the statistics.
This was her last picture taken that night.
J.R. Lopez's entire home is a shrine dedicated to honoring his daughter, Miranda Lopez.
I keep this here because I don't want anybody going in there.
His daily routine?
This is what I do every day.
Starts here, in her room. These are the clothes she was wearing.
I love you, Mama.
That night.
I love you.
Nearly 4 years ago.
Something I do every day. I miss her so much.
Miranda was a victim of road rage. On the day after Christmas in 2020, police records show she was riding home with her sister when they honked at someone driving erratically. That driver pulled behind their car and fired several gunshots, killing 21-year-old Miranda.
I have so much hatred and anger just for what was done to my family. My daughter taken for no reason, for literally no reason. She was so kind. She was so into her family.
Miranda worked at HEB while attending Austin Community College with the goal of transferring to Texas State to study criminal justice.
She was always focused on school.
A month earlier, November 25th, 2020, the day before Thanksgiving, another young life was taken during road rage.
It's just an emptiness that isn't filled by anything. It's a whole person that's missing in our family.
Police records show 20-year-old Omar Munguia pulled out in front of someone. That driver in the white sedan seen here followed Omar and later fired shots, hitting him and his passenger, causing a rollover crash.
It just doesn't make sense. It was unnecessary, it was reckless, and unfortunately, it can happen to anyone.
Anna De La Bureta is one of Omar's older sisters.
When my brother died, a part of me died with him. And that part, my life was forever changed.
At the time, Omar had just moved to Del Valley to live with his fiance and their baby.
He was caring, he loved his family. He had a son. His son was only 5 months old when this happened. So he was really excited to become a father.
In January 2021, Austin police discovered both cases had the same suspects, Jonathan Zavala and Manuel Huerta, suspects in nearly a dozen other road rage incidents.
I don't know that there can be enough justice for someone that has no remorse.
Zavala and Huerta agreed to plead guilty to murder. Zavala was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Huerta, 35 years.
He could have gotten a life sentence, and that still wouldn't have brought my brother back.
That's not punishment. My family has to deal with this the rest of our lives.
Austin police confirms there have been 8 road rage deaths in Austin since 2019. Police data we obtained show more than 650 total road rage incidents over the last 5 years, with 62 in 2020, That more than doubled in 2021 with 161 incidents. There were 182 in 2022. Incidents went down some in 2023 to 132. And so far in 2024, 118 road rage cases.
As you see Austin grow, you see more of these incidents happen.
But APD Detective Randy De Luna says those are just the incidents APD knows about.
Sometimes you have people that are victims that don't want to call and report it, but it is hard to document.
Hard to track because road rage itself isn't a crime unless someone makes a threat with a weapon, commits assault, or worse, homicide.
If you feel like you are the target of an aggressive driver, contact 911.
De Luna says the best way to avoid becoming a victim is not to engage.
Don't tailgate. Don't speed. Don't weave in traffic, and no erratic braking. Things like that.
Everybody
but if you do find yourself next to an aggressive driver, the thing that I would recommend is slow down. Let them pass. Stay clear from that person.
Something J.R. Lopez wishes his daughters could have done.
I feel hopeless, you know. I feel like I'm never going to get better. I feel like I'm never going to be the same. I'm not the same.
Now, he can only try to keep Miranda's memory alive.
When I look at this picture, I think she was so happy at that moment. She had no idea what was coming, you know, and that's how I want to remember her.
APD says if you find yourself in a road rage incident, stay away from that angry driver. Call 911 and stay online with the dispatcher. Find a public space to park and try to give as much information as you can. Darren Shaharan, KVUE News.
I'm not a fan with some of the stuff that they said in this story because I was just talking about victim blaming victims in roadway shootings and like, oh, they could have done this or that, whatever. Sometimes there is nothing you can do. A lot of times it's just normal interactions and it is a perceived thing from the other person. The people that had a dozen roadway incidents, there's something wrong with them. You know, if somebody's a serial rapist, are you telling the victims, oh, well, you should have done this, you should have done that? Maybe I'm extra touchy, but I don't like that. I know that they had good intentions. I understand that. Not a fan. Definitely I would like to give them some feedback. But I do very much appreciate them sharing the story. But yeah, I'm a little touchy on that. Like I said, I know way too many people that have been impacted by these types of shootings. So the next story, before we get into some of the Halloween shootings. Okay, thank you. Sometimes I don't know if I'm being overly sensitive or, you know, if things definitely are that way because I am a sensitive Sally when it comes to some things. So, okay. I'm glad I wasn't just being extra sensitive. So the next story we are going to talk about is Young Thug. Young Thug made a deal yesterday in the Rico case. Then I have some body cam footage from the Conjuring house because the owner got arrested. Maybe they got possessed. And then we are sadly going to get into the shootings that happened overnight in multiple areas on Halloween. So Young Thug is gonna be free. And then he can make more music. Not that Young Thug has never really been one of my favorites because I don't like the type of rap that he does, like the super auto-tune, and it just sounds weird to me, but like he should be, you know, but yeah, anyway.
We do want to come on the air here with breaking news. In fact, instead of going to that break, out of Atlanta, rapper Young Thug is now pleading guilty in what has become Georgia's longest running criminal trial. The plea just announced in Fulton County Court just minutes ago. The rapper, whose real name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams, was indicted in 2022 on racketeering charges. Prosecutors say the rapper led a street gang that committed murder, armed robbery, carjackings, and also dealt drugs. Nearly 30 other co-defendants were named in this case. Young Thug's trial has been plagued by problems, including two judges having to recuse themselves and mounting concerns last week that a mistrial could be ordered. Let's bring in ABC News legal contributor Shauna Lloyd now, who joins me with more. Shauna, talk to me first just about the state of play in this trial and remind me, frankly, of how long this has gone on. It is the longest running criminal trial in Georgia history. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. And it's amazing that this has been going on for more than 6 months. We have been here following this trial. It is one of the longest trials that Georgia has had. That says a lot about the state of this trial and how many witnesses the state has been calling. So now that we see this plea deal, I'm not very surprised by it because I think both sides were trying to mitigate damages here.
And Shauna, very quickly, I do want to play for you images that just came into us. It is young Thug taking that plea deal in court, and then I'll have you react on the back end. But here is what just played out in court just moments ago.
As to count 60, violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act, how do you plead?
Guilty.
As to count 61, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, how do you plead?
Guilty.
And as to count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, how do you plead?
No law.
As to count 56, participation in criminal street gang activity under the leadership charge, how do you plead?
No law.
I think you didn't ask about count 62.
As to count, thank you, Your Honor. As to count 62, possession of a machine gun, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty to the offenses you have indicated because you are in fact guilty of these charges?
Yes.
And Shauna, something that I heard there, tell me if I'm wrong here, is to some charges he's pleading guilty, to some charges he's pleading nolo contendere, which means no contest. But also very quickly, it looks like we've gotten here because there was an issue at trial last week where there was this witness who divulged sensitive information on the stand, and there were these concerns that there could be a mistrial, and essentially you'd have to start the clock all over again, and you'd have to have this long trial all over again. How did we get here to this point where prosecutors and defense attorneys obviously wanted to deal?
I mean, what we're really seeing is that misstep could potentially have created a mistrial, and the judge looked like she may have been leaning towards granting that. So that leaves exposure on both sides. So that means the state has to determine to bring this trial again, and he would have to stand again for another trial. So what you see here in this plea deal is both sides gave a little bit. He pleaded no contest to some of the charges, the direct charges that were linked to him directly, such as the possession charges, he did plead guilty to. And the state gave up the opportunity to get a full conviction. They're getting a lot of probation here in this particular plea deal in order to get those those admissions of guilt. So both sides had to give a little bit, but in the face of a mistrial, when we're talking about the longest running trial in the history of Georgia, was really both sides trying to get what they wanted, their main objective out of this, and they each got a little bit.
And explain to me why this trial went so long. It was a RICO case. It was just simply the fact that there were so many defendants and there was so much evidence to go through, or were there other factors that made the trial drag out to this point?
So those were some of the initial factors. There were a lot of defendants. The state had a lot of witnesses, but we have to remember they had no direct evidence. So a lot of what they were using were lyrics and other things that were being used by the YSL team in order to get this conviction. So in order to build that kind of case, you need a lot of background. And that's what we were seeing by having so many witnesses.
Shauna Lloyd, young thug pleading guilty, that breaking news. Thank you as always.
First reported on 12 News, the owner of the famous home was arrested.
Ready for this story yet? Hold on. So we will see what happens to the other defendants. I'm surprised that it didn't end in a mistrial with all the stuff that happened, and I'm surprised that they made a deal. But he'll be home soon and have to do like gang talks and stuff as part of his conditions. I had to think of the word. So the Conjuring House, there's been some issues at the Conjuring House since it's, which, I mean, let me see, does it list everything here? Yeah, so it's the woman that owns the house. Uh, I don't know what she did though. I think there's been ongoing issues. Let me see. Maybe she's possessed. Conjuring house owner drama. That's what uh oh my god. So like someone said that she's an alcoholic, she's mentally ill. Uh she has harassed a show host, sending threatening text messages. When did she buy the house? Okay, so Ghost Hunters TV show has been getting threats from the Conjuring House owner. That's interesting. And that's been going on since August. So that story came out in August. So, but why? Okay, let's see. But why is she upset? So the ghost show person, their daughter worked at the house for nearly 2 years. Um and then she started suspecting that he was coming to the house, but it wasn't him. Um, yeah, so claims that there's cyber attacks, that there's all sorts of stuff. So maybe there's a demon.
First reported on 12 News, the owner of the famous home was arrested and charged for allegedly driving under the influence and taking off from police. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mike Montecalvo.
And I'm Shannon Heggie. Target 12 investigator Sarah Grinelli got her hands on the body camera footage from Burrillville Police that shows what went down. Sarah?
On Monday night, officers tried to pull over Jacqueline Nunez, but she took off. Officers drew their guns when she finally pulled over. Nunez tells me she initially didn't stop for officers because she was terrified and she wasn't drunk. With lights and sirens on, body camera footage shows Burrillville police officers trying to pull over Jacqueline Nunez, the owner of the Conjuring House, on Monday night.
Put your hands out the window.
After about 9 minutes, Nunez pulls over.
Driver, show us your hands.
With his service weapon drawn, the officer yells for the car to be shut off, and Nunez doesn't get out of the car.
Shut the car off. Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Get out of the car. According to a police report obtained by Target 12, Nunez was driving erratically and weaving until she was pulled over. Nunez tells Target 12 she was panicked and terrified of the police, drove past stop signs until she pulled over. Body camera shows she was then handcuffed.
Yep, I had a couple of drinks and now I'm handcuffed.
Yep, okay.
It sounds like that you really need to find a lot more things to pay attention to.
How about the fact that people you almost hit driving down here? You reek of booze.
Officers then issue field sobriety tests.
You're boring me. Okay.
Okay.
I'm following your finger.
Well, put your left foot on that line. Do that now. Right foot in front of your left, heel to toe manner, arms down by your side.
At one point, Nunez offers to walk in a straight line and then stands on one leg.
You want me to walk a straight line?
That's not the way that you're supposed to be walking a straight line. You didn't want to listen to the instructions.
All right, so do you want to do the one leg stand test or no?
Sure.
Okay.
The footage shows Nunez asks officers about the test.
We're done with that one.
Because I passed it. So
All right, so great, Jacqueline, we're going to move on to the next test then.
Now you have to find a test that you are going to say that I'm going to fail.
She tells Target 12 she was sarcastic to officers because she wasn't drunk. Then she was placed in handcuffs. Nunez tells me the officers did not ask for a breathalyzer test or draw her blood for alcohol. The police report shows she refused a breathalyzer test. According to court records, she's due back in court for her arrest next month. With the Target 12 investigator.
Don't they have to take blood or have a breathalyzer? Or can you just fail? I thought, well, that's not good. I hope that they have. You need that. Can't any defense attorney get that dismissed and say it was something else? But apparently, she's a little cuckoo and has been doing a bunch of stuff. If you Google the Conjuring House. Okay, I found another story about her from August. I'm going to play that too because, yeah, that goes with this. So hold on. Well, yeah, she refused the breathalyzer, but can't they force you to do a blood test? I know if you refuse, it's automatic suspension, but then you don't have a DUI on your record. A lot of attorneys have said don't take the breathalyzer.
Now, new details in a Target 12 investigators exclusive that grabbed national attention: Conjuring House controversy. A couple says they lost thousands of dollars worth of belongings in a barn fire on the Conjuring property and have been waiting more months to be made whole again. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Shannon Heggie.
I'm Mike Montecalvo. Last week, we broke the story about a former employee who says he was fired after the owner claims a spirit spoke to her. Target 12 investigator Sarah Granelli is here now with the details. Sarah?
The barn fire at the Conjuring House broke out in December. A couple tells me the owner said that she would reimburse them with insurance money for the items that they lost, but that never happened. On more than 8 acres of sprawling land in Burrville sits the historic Conjuring House and a charred barn.
It's not this evil, dark place that some people have made it out to seem. It is a beautiful, haunted property.
The home was made famous by a horror movie in 2013. In December, a fire tore through the barn on the property.
We got a call around midnight, I want to say, that the barn was on fire, and immediately we rushed down there, and it definitely was on fire.
The owner, Jacqueline Nunez, tells Target 12 she spent $450,000 to renovate the historic barn, with hopes of opening up a museum on the property. Then employees Satori Hawes and Cody Desbian say they put items in there to help fill the museum with what they call haunted artifacts, but lost most of it in the fire.
We had everything from velvet curtains in there to sound equipment, like speakers and stuff for music to play in there. We had furniture, all sorts of stuff.
They say Nunez promised to refund them for their losses using insurance money.
I have text message proving that. And then a few months later, I asked for an update. And she says, I need you to send me the list again, which I did.
Here's one of those texts from Nunez saying, you're going to need to get pricing for these other items. So do that and hang on to it, and I'll get it from you when the insurance adjuster asks for it.
In the back of our minds, there was part of us that knew that we weren't going to get that money.
In a statement to Target 12, the owner, Nunez, says the insurance money did not cover the losses of the item and blames the former employees for the fire, writing in an email, "They, not me, hired a painting hobbyist who failed to read the instructions for how to dispose of soiled, highly combustible rags properly," adding she should be suing them for recklessness and negligence.
The stress of all this has been keeping me up at night.
Last week, Target 12 revealed former employee Brian Dancero says he was fired after the owner says the spirit of the house's 19th century owner spoke to her.
John Arnold told me, you've been stealing money out of the cash box for the past 2 months. And I literally stopped and I actually corrected him, like, John Arnold, one of the original owners who died in 1839. And she said, yes, and I want you to pay it back.
He has since filed a claim with the Department of Labor and Training, who are investigating wages that he says he's owed, totaling $9,000. The couple says they were shocked when they heard the accusations.
I don't think John Arnold is telling the owner inside of her head that Brian stole money. I don't think any of the accusations of stealing due to spirits telling her this are true in any way.
But Nunez says she's a medium and that a spirit told her Dancero was stealing. As for her claims about the fire, the couple tell me they never hired anyone to work there. With the Target 12 investigators, Sarah Granelli, 12 News.
Oh. Well, if you're constantly not the problem, you might be the problem. I think she's just hearing voices. They're not actually spirits. I mean, I believe that there could potentially be stuff, but I don't think it's talking to her. I mean, if I owned the Conjuring House, I would totally just blame everything on Bathsheba and say that it was that. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. All right, so we are going to move to Orlando and New York City. There were multiple shootings over the country overnight. There was a mass shooting in Orlando. So 6 injured, 2 killed, sadly. And it looks like 2 teenagers were also shot in New York City. I know that there's other shootings, but these are the stories that I found for this morning. I only have time for so much, sadly. All right, here we go. Ah! Ah! I need to share the screen again. That would help. Okay, there it is. There it is.
It's 6:01, and right now we are staying on top of breaking news happening out of Orlando, where 8 people were shot in the busy downtown area overnight. 2 people were killed. Right now, Orlando Regional Medical Hospital, where the victims were taken, is on lockdown. That's all as a precaution right now.
Yeah, we've been staying on top of this story since early this morning, news coming into our newsroom, and we'll be giving you the latest updates as they become available. A press conference taking place just about an hour ago. We can tell you police have shown several angles of the shooting from security cameras as well as body camera footage of that video not yet released to the public. And the first calls came in around 1 o'clock this morning. Here's a look at the scene. You can see the ambulance rushing there after getting reports of that shooting. Central Boulevard and Orange Avenue. This is a popular going out area with several bars and restaurants.
Orlando police say right now they have 1 person in custody. It's a 17-year-old male. At last check, that teen is the only suspect in the shooting. We're told victims range right now from 19 to 39 years old. What we can tell you is police have shown multiple angles of this shooting from security cameras as well as body cam footage. One video in particular showing the moments that the 17-year-old suspect drove up, parked his car, got out and started shooting. That video not released to the public just yet, but when it is, we'll bring that to you on air online. Also a good time to download our streaming app if you don't have it for Fire, Roku devices.
17 years old, just got out of his car and decided to shoot 8 people. What the hell? What, like, why? Why? And where the hell did you get the gun? Where'd you get it? All right, so moving to New York, 2 teenagers shot. More teen violence.
And thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Corey Chambers.
And I'm Shirley Chan. We begin with that breaking news tonight. 2 teenagers shot on the Upper West Side during what should be a peaceful family time of Halloween fun. Now, this happened just a little after sunset when sidewalks were filled with children trick-or-treating.
Children running for cover here. Those shots fired near McDonald's on 71st Street and Amsterdam Avenue. Now police are on the hunt for the 2 men behind it. Big Sense McGee Hickey. She is live for us on that scene tonight with what we know. McGee.
Good evening to you, Corey and Shirley. I'm here at 71st and Amsterdam Avenue in front of the McDonald's, but the actual shooting took place about a third of the way down the block west of Amsterdam Avenue, where some people were out trick-or-treating. Eyewitnesses told Pix 11 News that a group of teens from a nearby high school were shooting dice, playing a game of craps. There were about 15 teenagers when the shooting started. Eyewitnesses say they heard 3 shots. A 17-year-old boy was shot in the right leg, taken to a nearby hospital. He's in stable condition. Another male, age 19, was shot in the shoulder and the arm. He got up to Mount Sinai Hospital on his own. One eyewitness describes what it was like during this time, this family time of trick-or-treating when they heard those shots.
We were just coming in from trick-or-treating with my 5-year-old. We were going inside. We get upstairs. I live on the 3rd floor. Pop, pop, pop. 3 gunshots go off. Kids start to scatter. I couldn't tell if it was gunshots or if it was fireworks or what it was. But then my doorman says 2 kids tried to run into the building for their own safety. And I see a kid running in this direction. Then suddenly I see everyone starting to put up caution tape, then police and everything else. And here we are.
And you see there is a surveillance camera right above where the shooting took place. And a doorman told me in the neighborhood, this group of teens is often out here shooting dice. And one of them ran in after the shots rang out, that one person ran into the McDonald's here behind me asking for help. We're told that 2 gunmen got away on bicycles. They may have dropped one of the guns on the street. Police have given this description of the 2 men, the 2 teenagers they're looking for. One was wearing a navy blue sweatshirt, black pants, a gray backpack. The other one had a black hooded shirt and jeans. We are live on the Upper West Side.
So what did they look like? Did they say what they look like? Did I miss that? Or they're just giving a description of their clothing that they probably changed? I've noticed that as a trend. They're not saying people's race or description as often anymore, which is not helpful at all whatsoever. A hoodie and pants. Do you know how many people are probably wearing blue hoodies and black pants in New York that are men? Did we get an age? Are they tall, short, skinny, fat, black, white, purple? That doesn't, hopefully the camera gets a better description than what she told us, because that doesn't help at all. So Tash, stay away from people in blue sweatshirts and black pants. Okay. All right. So moving on to California, we have talked about the street takeovers with cars and sideshows and all that stuff. California is cracking down. They're trying to. They have arrested 7 people that were linked to 22 of those sideshow takeovers.
It's a Bay Area-wide problem and now a notable win in San Jose. SJPD arrested 7 people for promoting more than 20 illegal sideshows in the past 5 years. NBC's Ian Cull has the new details.
People living near Branham and Monterey in San Jose are fed up with sideshows on their block. Asan Iqbal says the last one blocked his friend from getting to his house for 2 hours.
It's quite annoying, to be honest, right? Like I have young kids and they'll be screeching tires and burning rubber, and then kids would wake up and they'll be honking horns.
He's encouraged to hear police and the DA announce 7 arrests for promoting and hosting 23 large-scale sideshows. They're calling it Operation Penalty Box because the group referred to themselves as the hockey team. The investigation took 2 years and includes 1 million pages of records. The men allegedly used social media to promote the sideshows since 2020. At least one of them was in Iqbal's neighborhood.
It was putting everybody at risk. It was not only causing a nuisance, it was blocking traffic, it was preventing emergency services to reach residential areas.
Each illegal sideshow they organized involved an average of 300 vehicles and up to 600 participants, taking over 7 to 8 different intersections at once in San Jose for several hours at a time.
Police say a grand jury indicted the suspects for felony conspiracy to promote sideshows, which is a newer law passed in San Jose in 2021. The suspects are from San Jose, Sunnyvale, Salinas, and Oakland. 2 men are still on the loose.
My children, your children, are not expendable characters in anybody's amateur vision of Fast and Furious.
The suspects could face up to 6 years in jail. The police chief hopes it'll make a dent on the dangerous and sometimes deadly events.
Our message today is clear. In San Jose, watching a sideshow is illegal, participating in one is illegal, promoting one is illegal. If you do it, we will find you, take your vehicle, and take you to jail.
Neighbors expect it'll help too.
Hopefully we don't see him again. Yeah.
In San Jose, Ian Cole, NBC Bay Area News.
Y'all know that those cops are itching to take those vehicles and then they can like paint them and use them to chase you guys down. So the cops want your cars. And some of those cars are pretty souped up and they have every right to take your vehicle if you're doing shit like that. I can't stand that shit. And I don't understand how they can take over an area for hours, but there's probably more of them than there is police and it's dangerous. But I'm glad that they're cracking down on it. And I think it's funny that he mentioned Fast and the Furious. So the next video, I watched an extended version of this video, which was upsetting to me. This one is not as long, so it doesn't get as detailed or show some of the things, but I still want to warn you.
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
The next story does have discussion of sexual assault, but thankfully, the victim was able to very smartly call 911 and pretend that she was ordering a pizza. This is not the first time where we've seen this, and the police were able to get to her in time. But if you want to see the longer videos, there's lots of them out there, but I found it kind of distressing, so I don't want to share the whole thing. But this gives a pretty good detail of what happened and part of the phone call. Very, very smart of the woman. Very smart.
Get a pizza.
What address are we going to?
Okay, you got my location, please.
You don't know your location?
No, basically no. I'm stuck in here. It won't take me back home.
This dispatch phone call is getting a lot of attention tonight. A Florida woman used a 911 call disguised as a pizza order to report she was about to be sexually assaulted. The Volusia County Sheriff says deputies got the call in the early morning hours of October 19th. The dispatcher who took the call continued asking questions, confirming the woman was in danger as officials tracked where the phone call was coming from. By the time deputies found her, the suspect was found on top of her as she was shouting for help.
The victim in this case said she had known her assailant, that they had gone into the fernery to drink a couple drinks, alcoholic beverages, and that's all it was supposed to be. However, during this outing, he did a line of cocaine, and she said he did a 180, and he became extremely violent and wouldn't let her go and tried to rape her.
Officials arrested the suspect, Luis Hernandez Moncoya. They say he was in the country illegally. He's now facing multiple charges.
Crime alert tonight, a woman robbed.
Hold on, not ready for that. So in some of the other videos I've seen, they show the body cam footage of them running up and helping her and her screaming and all that kind of stuff. This is the Volusia County. This is actually the number 1 place for shark attacks in the world too, but they're not like deadly, so you don't hear them. They're just little sharks, and they get a little bitey. So just FYI on that. So very smart woman, and I'm glad that she was able to get help and be safe. So in San Antonio, a woman was robbed while pumping gas. This is also something that I have discussed multiple times. If you are at a gas station, lock your doors, leave everything in the car. I only bring my card out with me, generally, sometimes my phone, and pump gas that way. And I lock everything. I lock my car because they will go in. But this guy just robbed her, so there's not really a whole lot that you can do about that. I prefer getting gas at the daytime, typically not on the outside of the pumps, closer to the little store or the store if I can. There's only so much that you can do to try to protect yourself, but try to be as aware as possible. So the San Antonio is looking for this suspect.
Crime alert tonight, a woman robbed while pumping gas. And tonight, San Antonio police releasing new photos of who they want to track down. Take a look. The aggravated robbery on October 25th at the Circle K on West Commerce near South General McMullen. So police say that these suspects approached the woman with a machete to take her purse. A customer thankfully came to her aid, and then the suspects were told took off toward Our Lady of the Lake University. Crime Stoppers is offering up to $5,000 for information that leads to an arrest. You know what to do. If you have any information, call them. The number you see there, 210-224-7867.
Machetes are pretty damn big. I have one. Like, how the hell are you walking around with a machete and like able to hide it? I mean, maybe in like that pouch thing of the sweatshirt, because they're like that big. I would grab it to show y'all, but it's downstairs, and I'm not running downstairs because we're almost done. So So they have arrested the suspect in that story that we had talked about previously, where they had thought that a guy was killed by a bear, but it was not a bear. It was a person. They just tried to make it look like it was a bear.
Tonight, breaking news as we come in the air with our live broadcast at 6 o'clock. The Gallatin County Sheriff's Office released the identity of the suspect in the killing of Dustin Jerzum near Big Sky. Officials arrested 41-year-old Darren Christopher Abbey in Butte earlier this week and report he confessed to the murder of Jerzum. During the investigation, DNA was taken from a beer can from Jerzum's tent, and officials report the DNA matched Abbey's. And right now, the motive is unclear.
There's still months of work to be done. These cases consume the entire division, and each of them know there are more cases coming in every day of less priority that will need their attention shortly.
Abbey is being transported to the Gallatin County Detention Center and is charged with deliberate homicide. We're waiting to hear back from county officials to confirm when Abbey will appear in court.
We're going to turn now to a frightening mid-air.
Deliberate homicide? I didn't know that there was deliberate homicide. Like, I know that you can unintentionally hurt somebody or kill them, but I didn't know that I thought homicide was just homicide, but I guess it depends on the state. So other types of attacks that have been ramping up, we talked about roadway shootings and people being more violent. Attacks on flight attendants and just issues on airplanes have skyrocketed the last few years. You guys can Google the statistics. It's insane. It's like 1,000% or like a few 100% or something like that. So a passenger was attacked on a United flight.
Assault. A Florida man is in custody after beating a sleeping passenger during a flight from San Francisco to Washington. Trevor Alt has the details. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, George. So this attack appears to be vicious and random. According to authorities, the suspect repeatedly punched a person he did not know mid-flight. And according to another passenger, that victim is deaf and nonverbal and was sleeping when the attack began.
This morning, the FAA investigating a brutal attack aboard a cross-country United Airlines flight.
One individual was assaulted.
It happened 2 hours into the flight from San Francisco to D.C. Monday. According to the affidavit, Everett Nelson left his seat in row 35 to use the restroom. He then walked out, stopped at seat 12F, and without notice began physically attacking a sleeping male passenger.
I was woken up by the most horrific screaming that I have heard.
Sandhya Gupta was in the row behind.
He was just rapid fire, just punching, pummeling very violently this man in the face.
She says another passenger pulled Nelson off the alleged victim.
I was trying to talk to the victim. Then I realized that he was both deaf and nonverbal.
United tells us one passenger was restrained after becoming physically aggressive toward another customer. The flight landed safely and was met by paramedics and local law enforcement. According to the FAA, since unruly passenger incidents spiked in 2021, they've fallen more than 80%, but there's still been 1,748 reported cases already this year.
If you're a passenger experiencing this, remember that call button above your seat, and remember that you very likely have other passengers around who can help.
What?
And the suspect, Everett Nelson, made his initial court appearance on Tuesday. He has not yet entered a plea. A judge ordered him temporarily detained, Michael.
Did she really say hit the call button? If you're experiencing this, hit the call button. Ma'am, I'm pretty sure if I'm experiencing that, I'm not going to be able to hit the call button. I think you mean if somebody's being a jerk, you can hit the call button. That. Well, I hope that the passenger is okay. Sadly, I have so many more stories to share that I am not going to be able to. So I have 2 more videos that I want to share, and then 2 more crime videos, and then another video, and we are going to be done for today because I do have to start getting ready for work. So actually, Yeah, so I'm gonna do this Minneapolis video, but I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. So there was a standoff in Minneapolis where a man shot his neighbor, and then somebody planted explosives at the Hard Rock Casino in Florida, which is insane.
First, though, off the top, we are following this developing story from overnight. An hours-long standoff in Minneapolis. Police trying to arrest a man who was inside, accused of shooting his neighbor over cutting a tree. So we wanted to bring in our Courtney Godfrey this afternoon. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah,
and
my first time on Good Day.
I know. So Courtney works so you have a lot going on in your life, but you're working the schedule where you're working with us kind of freelance, and while you're also doing some amazing things away from
so we
TV.
had a busy overnight.
Yeah.
So here I am coming in to help out today. We had a shooting last week, and I know that you guys covered it, but on Wednesday, this individual, Davis Maturi, was shot in outside of his Lindale home, as you said, as he was trying to cut down a tree. He was hit in the neck. After that shooting, there were no arrests, despite Maturi saying, "This is the guy who shot me." His neighbor, his name is John Sawchek. And a lot of council members, a lot of public officials were speaking out saying, what's going on? Why have there been no arrests? A lot of criticism from city council. Last night, MPD finally did go to Sawchek's house. He barricaded himself in. So they had the SWAT team out there. They tried to get him to come out. They were on the loudspeakers trying to negotiate with him. Finally, at about 1 a.m., after hours long standoff, they did breach the home. They went inside. They said that he willingly came out and he was arrested. So he is now sitting in the Hennepin County Jail on multiple charges, including attempted murder. And we also heard from the police chief.
What is Chief O'Hara saying about all of this? Because it sounds like they maybe didn't respond as quickly.
Well, and Chief O'Hara, when this first happened, was critical of the victim, saying that Maturi instigated it a little bit. He's changed his tune a little bit, and overnight, early this morning, he came out and actually apologized. Let's take a listen.
While there were dozens of attempts, literally dozens of attempts prior to the shooting to make contact with this individual and to take him into custody, the police were unable to make contact with this individual since April, since it was confirmed that there were warrants for his arrest. And, that included doing surveillance early in the morning during the one time that we had reason to believe he might be leaving the residence. And so there was extensive work by our officers to try and make contact, to try and bring this person into custody, and we were unsuccessful. And so in that sense, yes, we failed this victim. He should not have been shot.
And we did reach out to the victim for response to that apology. We haven't heard back yet.
Okay. All right. And so this is the story you're working on for today.
And the city council, like I mentioned, has been very critical. So I just want to share this statement really quick from council member Emily Koski. She came out with a statement after the police chief spoke today, and hopefully we can get that on the screen here.
I think we just pulled up the wrong one. Let's see if we can flip that out for the statement.
There we go. So Emily Koski says, public safety must never hinge on outcries from elected leaders. Our city deserves safety, accountability, and a system that responds swiftly and decisively to prevent harm. We owe it to our community to fully dive into and come to understand the factors that allowed this to occur and to ensure that no resident's plea for safety goes unanswered. Again, Mayor Fry has dismissed these comments as playing politics. We actually have an interview set up with the council member Koski in about an hour. So we'll be able to bring that to you.
She's absolutely correct. Should have been arrested. Like, how hard is it to try to make contact with somebody? Don't you just go there and arrest them? Like, oh, sorry, not a convenient day for you. Like, that's bullshit. They've been trying to arrest him since April. And he shot his neighbor because he wasn't arrested. All right, so let me put this back to normal for the next story. A man accused of planting explosives at the Hard Rock. That's scary. Like, how the hell? Anyway.
First appeared at 6. He frequented the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Tampa. Tonight, he's under arrest for trying to bomb it. He is 46-year-old Brian Robert Eckley, accused by FDLE of placing 2 explosive devices in bathrooms that forced evacuations last month. Fox 13's Evan Axelman is live at Hillsborough County Courthouse with more on this. Evan, so many questions. Let's start with Eckley, though. He was scheduled to appear in court. Tell us more.
Yeah, he was. And right now, the biggest question that law enforcement are trying to answer is the motive. Why did he do this? They do say, though, that he was very good at disguising himself from security staff there who were very familiar with him. This is a screen grab of Brian Robert Eckley doing his best.
In my 29 years doing this, I got to say that he was very good, but we're better.
Taken on September 30th by surveillance cameras at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino, FDLE says he was even changing the way he walked to avoid detection. They say he planted 2 explosive devices in bathrooms that had previously been described as crude and laced with fireworks. This is video from Skyfox from that day, which shows the evacuation taking place. The devices were found by staff before they went off. But what was his motive?
We have some theories, but I don't want to opine on that. We did 2 search warrants yesterday, and we recovered a lot of digital evidence, which we're going to start going through.
Eckley is described as a frequent guest of the casino. He was spotted acting suspiciously in the days before and had even rented a car with a burner phone and alias. On September 26th, this police report shows he was arrested for firing a gun into the air at someone's front door in Westchase, hours after having a political argument with them.
So now he will be held accountable for his actions, and actions that could have endangered many lives.
Page 76, Brian Eckley.
His first court appearance had been scheduled for Thursday afternoon, but was continued until Friday to give the defense more time. Law enforcement points out he faces 30 years in prison for 2 counts of placing explosive devices.
He was there a lot. The Seminole Police Department knew him very well. He was a frequent player.
And the devices could be remote controlled, though it's not clear how big they were and how much damage he could have done with those bombs. Right now, he's being held without bond, Mark.
Next, we'll make live force. We know. Keep following the force. Thanks.
And now, former Mesquite ISD middle
I don't have time for this story, so sorry. We're going to not play this one. So, our last video, of course, is one of my favorite things to do, which is, y'all know what time it is. I hope you're ready for... So there is a zoo for rescue animals underneath the Key West jail. So we're going to watch that. And let's look at these rescue babies. Oh, you're going to play.
Now we're off to the zoo. A very different kind of zoo. Here's Connor Knighton.
The Monroe County Detention Center in Stock Island, Florida, currently houses around 400 people. There's also an emu, an armadillo, a capybara, a ball python, some mandarin ducks, a zebu,
Hello, baby.
and a skunk named Squirt.
Is he soft? Mm-hmm.
These 120 animals haven't been convicted of anything.
Come on in, everybody.
For them, getting assigned a life sentence here is actually a good thing.
Quack, quack.
It's a safe place where they can live out their days with regular visitation from hundreds of admirers.
All of our animals have been abandoned, abused, confiscated, or donated. Good morning, Wilbur.
Biologist Jeannie Sealander has supervised the Monroe County Sheriff's Office Animal Farm since 2006.
Are you going to dance for us today?
This small zoo got started by accident in the mid-1990s when word got out that the sheriff had rescued some ducks from a nearby road.
People just showed up with animals they didn't want anymore because the rumors were that jail was taking in animals, and they were asking if they could leave their animal or drop it off. Down here in the Keys, there aren't a lot of rescue facilities.
So the open area beneath the jail turned into one. The center is located next to Key West, just a few miles from the southernmost point in the contiguous United States. Sealander, who isn't law enforcement, originally moved here to work for the local aquarium.
I was really apprehensive about working with inmates. I had never even been to a jail before. Good morning.
The animal farm is maintained by a small team of incarcerated men.
Got the 18 with me.
Those we met during our visit were all serving time for drug-related charges. Each morning, Sealander briefs them on their tasks.
Your meds for Dash are on the table. Petunia took her meds with no problem.
Only low-level, nonviolent offenders can apply for animal duty. This is a coveted work assignment.
What's up, Jack? This is by far the best job. Yeah.
Ashley Abelmar says that working with animals and being outside helps take his mind off the time he's serving inside.
When I'm here, all the worries that I have on myself, it takes it away from me. I don't even exist. I'm here to just, serve a higher purpose, taking care of these animals, making sure they see tomorrow and the next and the next.
On this day, Tyler Cunningham is on meal prep duty. He's tasked with feeding everything from the rhinoceros iguana to the coati mundi.
Do you feel a connection with the animals?
Oh, for sure. Definitely. It's very therapeutic. Makes me feel a lot of love, and be able to give love. It's a very good thing.
Jeannie Sealander sees that as a win-win.
They give back to the community when they're here. They help with all the chores that need to be done. They care for the animals. They learn about some of the animals they've never seen, they've never heard of.
Like lemurs. Eric Garcia had only seen animated ones before he arrived at Stock Island.
The lemurs, I remember I saw them in Madagascar movie. That was the first time.
Madagascar movie and jail.
And jail. Yeah.
I'd never seen a kinkajou before this one crawled on my head.
Tucker, what are you doing?
Tucker.
That tickles, buddy.
Say hi to Calypso.
Twice a month, the public is invited, free of charge, to get up close and personal with the animals.
Thank you so much.
The program is primarily funded by donations
Thank you for the donation.
of cash
Oh, the capybara is going to love you, right?
and of kale.
It was nice just to see them,
Robert Velasquez was once incarcerated here.
Too, I'm not in an orange uniform. I'm actually free and able to walk right out that gate too when I'm done.
He wanted to bring his family back to show them the animals he used to work with.
That's Kelsey. Isn't that crazy?
One day, he hopes to start an animal-focused nonprofit of his own.
So yeah, his face is shaped like a rhino.
Those are the types of stories that motivate Jeannie Sealander.
If I can make a difference in one person's life, then that means something to me. So not only am I changing inmates' lives, but I'm making a difference in the animals' lives as well.
It's interesting to me, though, that you reference them in that order, because I think a lot of people, especially coming from a biology background, they're doing it to save the animals.
Mhm.
And you certainly are. But to reference the inmates first is a different way of helping.
Absolutely. I think a lot of them are unseen. And I do see a lot of changes when I look back on all the probably couple of thousand inmates I've had in my time here. The fact that this made a difference in their life and that I made a difference in their time here, that makes you feel good.
Yes, love it. Yes, because not all inmates are monsters, and some of them are just normal people that were addicted to something or did something stupid, and they do deserve the chance to work on that and to get the therapeutic work of working with those animals. I love that story. Just overall good feels. And I loved seeing the inmate come back after he was released to show his family the animals that he was taking care of. Love that. All right, guys. So I'm going to get going because I have to go to work and be at work for 11 hours. So I'm really not happy about that. Make sure that you're following me on Kick. I will be streaming on Kick this weekend. I will be making some posts on YouTube and Twitter about some of the stuff that I'm doing this weekend. I hope that you can join me. Yeah, it's not yay for me, MJ. I'm going to be working from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. So boo, boo, hiss, boo, boo. We're going to...
Boo this man!
Boo! 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 All right. Anyway, I hope everybody has a beautiful Friday, and I hope that y'all aren't working as much as me, and I hope that you have a great day. And I really hope that I get to see you this weekend. And like I said, I will be streaming on Kick, maybe even doing a weekend crime recap. We'll see. I am pretty sure I have nothing going on and will likely be hanging out with you guys. All right. Love you all. Have a great day. Bye, y'all.